Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. It's Friday, January 8th. Thanks for choosing to be here for your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We have now heard from President Donald Trump again since his Twitter account had been locked. It's now been unlocked, and he's making comments on Twitter again. He said today that he will not be attending President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration on January 20th. Now, with this announcement, President Trump will be the first incumbent president since Andrew Johnson to skip his successor's inauguration. What he posted in the tweet today was this, word for word: "To all those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Vice President Mike Pence is expected to attend the inauguration, along with former Presidents George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. Former President Jimmy Carter recently announced he would not be there. This will be the first inauguration that the 96-year-old former president will miss since he himself was sworn into office in 1977. Now, an hour before President Trump tweeted that he would not be attending, he also tweeted that the people who voted for him will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way. He went on to say on Twitter, "The 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America First, and Make America Great Again will have a giant voice long into the future." That was what he tweeted this morning. Now, we did see a video from President Trump declaring that the people who broke the law would be called to account for the things that they did in the D.C. riots. And now the president is making these additional statements on social media, although not on Facebook or Instagram, where his accounts have been blocked, according to Facebook owner Mark Zuckerberg, through at least the inauguration. Now, today I had the opportunity to sit down exclusively with U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, and he talked with me about what it was like to be in the Senate when the D.C. riots broke out. He told me how they didn't know what was happening because they were isolated. They were having their debate on the certification of the Electoral College, and it wasn't until Senator Mitt Romney tried to leave the chamber and he was stopped from doing so that they realized that something had gone on in Washington, D.C. Through the course of the conversation, Senator Sherrod Brown shares with me what he believes is a double standard that was apparent in the way police responded to the protest-turned riots in Washington, D.C., and to previous demonstrations held by Black Lives Matter activists, and also told me why he thinks it's so important that President Donald Trump be removed from office immediately. Senator Brown has called for invoking of the 25th Amendment by Vice President Mike Pence and the cabinet, and has said if that doesn't happen, that the Congress should move forward with impeaching President Trump. He says the importance of this is because there is still about a week and a half left in the presidency, and they are just not sure what will happen in terms of national security between now and January 20th, when President-elect Joe Biden takes office. Now, for that full conversation, pertaining to the events of this week, you can head to YouTube, the WKYC YouTube page, and an excerpt of that conversation is there. This was part of a larger conversation that I'm having with Senator Sherrod Brown about what a Joe Biden presidency will mean here in Ohio. That'll be on the 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney podcast, and that episode, that full episode, that long conversation drops on January 16th. So subscribe to the podcast if you're interested in that, and watch out for that. Now, speaking of being concerned with what the president might do over the next week and a half, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi is now working to curb President Trump's nuclear power, as well as considering impeachment. She said that she spoke to the top general, Mark Kelly, about, quote, precautions for preventing an unstable president from initiating military hostilities. Just so we all know here, the president has the sole authority in the U.S. government to order the launch of a nuclear weapon. That's what people are concerned about. However, a military commander could refuse the order if it were determined to be an illegal order. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said that the situation, these are Pelosi's words, quote, "This unhinged president could not be more dangerous." So the Speaker of the House was meeting with the House Democratic Caucus today to consider impeachment proceedings, which is something that many Democratic representatives, some people from the Republican side, have also been talking about after what happened in Washington, D.C. and the president's response on Wednesday. Speaker of the House Pelosi did tell Democrats that the top military official assured her steps are in place to prevent a nuclear launch initiated by President Donald Trump, just so no one gets terribly alarmed at this point. General Mark Kelly has said that there are steps in place to prevent something that should not happen from happening. Now let's talk about some of the claims that have been circulating on social media. A lot of misinformation, possibly disinformation, that it was actually Antifa at the Capitol that caused the riots rather than pro-Trump supporters. So there were lots of claims claiming that, but most of the photos are probably false, and that's according to our Verify team. Now, many of the claims repeated the idea that it was actually members of Antifa or anarchist groups that stormed the Capitol rather than supporters of the Trump. Now, this has been investigated meticulously by our Verify team, and they have found none of those claims are credible. Now, on the other hand, there are photos and videos that clearly show supporters of President Donald Trump involved in all aspects of the riots that happened in Washington, D.C. Let's just describe one of those specific instances that people are pointing to. There is a very prominent photo of a man in a Viking outfit with horns on, paint on his face, and people had been claiming that this person is not a pro-Trump supporter, but is instead a member of Antifa. Well, this is not the first public event that this man has gone to in the same outfit. And because of that, that was used to spread the disinformation. Now, some people said that they were using a photo of him with an anti-police sign in the background as proof that he was a member of Antifa, but it turns out that photo was cropped, and the man's own sign referenced the pro-Trump conspiracy theory QAnon. So he's had a history of going to these events and protests and counter-protests to support QAnon and President Trump. That's just one instance that the Verify team has been able to debunk. So you can check out a full, very meticulous breaking down of debunking of those claims on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Now, we know the professional sports world has been very active in speaking out about social justice issues and unrest, and that continued on Thursday. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Memphis Grizzlies kneeled together in unity prior to the NBA game on Thursday. This was a result not only of the riots in Washington, D.C., but also the decision not to press charges against the officers who shot Jacob Blake in Wisconsin. So before the game, both teams took a moment. They paused at the opening tip. They went to the sideline. They locked arms and they took a knee. And they were joined not just by the players, but by coaches, staff, and reserves covering the entire sideline from the end line to the end line. And the three officials knelt at mid-court behind the players. Cleveland Cavaliers forward Larry Nance Jr. said this: "I'm just so proud to be a part of this league. Our league is at the forefront of all positive change in my mind. All things equality, all things social justice. I couldn't be more proud of the players, the teams, the league we're in." The coaches also made comments. Cavs coach J.B. Bickerstaff talked about the last 9 or 10 months giving them a priority check. He said through the civil unrest, through COVID itself, they've been able to sit back and prioritize what's important, and there are larger issues at hand that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. How we interact with each other as a society and as a larger community is important. Memphis's coach Taylor Jenkins also talked about the U.S. Constitution and how it opens with the words, "We the people," and those are strong words to remember right now as we reflect on what's been happening around the country, particularly this week in Washington, D.C. Coach Taylor said, "It starts with each individual. We the people have the power to make change, knowing that better days need to be ahead of us. And they will be ahead of us if we all take that long, hard look at what part I can play in making a difference in positive change." Now let's turn the conversation to the latest COVID-19 numbers here in Ohio. In the last 24 hours, there have been 9,535 reported cases. That is down from yesterday. The total number of deaths reported over the last 24 hours is also down, but still too high. 82 Ohioans have died related to COVID-19, as reported to the Ohio Department of Health in the last 24 hours. Our positive rate for testing has gone down. The daily rate, which we have for Wednesday, January 6th, is 12.3%, and that has brought the 7-day average down to 14%. In the last 24 hours, 318 people have been admitted to the hospital for COVID-19. That brings the total number of people hospitalized right now to 4,066. Both of those numbers are down. However, of those 4,066 people, we're now back over 1,000 being treated in the ICU. That number is 1,004 being treated in the ICU for COVID-19. We've seen 34 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours. And right now, 26% of the hospital beds in the state are available for people who need to be treated in a hospital bed. Now let's take a look at the national and the global numbers for COVID-19. These come from Johns Hopkins University. Across the U.S., we have now been reported 21,668,882 cases of COVID-19. The total number of deaths is now at 366,664. We continue to see the percentage of the global cases and deaths that we have here in the U.S. bump up slightly. We've got 4% of the population here in the U.S., but we have 24.5% of the COVID-19 cases and 19.2%, that number up just a point of a percentage point from yesterday, of the total deaths related to COVID-19. Globally, the total number of cases is now at 88,446,992, and the total number of deaths is at 1,905,911. Now, the state of Ohio has been trying to figure out how to get some infrastructure in place in order to get the COVID-19 vaccine to the people who want to get it. And Cuyahoga County is now offering registration to residents who want to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. This is a new tool that's been launched online in order to help get this done in an easier fashion once the time comes. We have that website linked on WKYC.com, so you can register to receive the vaccine once a phase of the rollout that includes you has begun. So you can't register until a phase of the vaccine rollout that you are a part of has begun. So for example, right now we're in phase 1A. We haven't started phase 1B yet. So phase 1B people cannot register just yet. They have to wait until phase 1B begins in order to be able to register. So right now, those registration requirements include completing the form at the link, being in an eligible phase of the rollout, and you will have to have identification from your place of employment and a valid form of state-issued ID in order to use this registration to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Right now, as I said, we're still in phase 1A. We did learn from Governor Mike DeWine that they hope that phase 1B will begin soon. Ohioans 80 years of age and older will be able to get the COVID-19 vaccine beginning January 19th. On January 25th, they expect people 75 and older to have access, and so on. And we have all of that broken down on WKYC.com. One more thing to let you know before we go here. SherwinWilliams is going to receive $70 million in state loans to construct that new global headquarters in Cleveland and also that new research facility in Brecksville. This will be a 25-year loan with a 0% interest rate. Can you imagine what the interest rate would be, what the interest would be on $70 million if there were a interest rate there? So that's a pretty sweet deal for SherwinWilliams, being able to get that 0% interest rate. So the plan to build the new headquarters in Cleveland was announced back in February. It will be located just west of Public Square in downtown Cleveland. That'll be between St. Clair Avenue and Superior Avenue, and it'll be about 1 million square feet. This will be quite the undertaking. The new Brecksville Research and Development Center will be off of I-77 at Miller and Brecksville Roads, and that'll be about 500,000 square feet, so about half the size there in terms of the square footage. Also, one more thing to let you know before we go here, because I won't see you back here on 3 News Now until Monday. We've got that playoff game this weekend. It's on Sunday. The Browns are taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is our first playoff game in 18 years. I know we've had some COVID-19 cases that we didn't want to hear about today. Our team hasn't been able to get the practice in, but hey, let's look on the bright side. They'll be very rested come Sunday night for Sunday Night Football to take on the Steelers at Heinz Field in Pennsylvania. And we can watch it right here on Channel 3, by the way, 8 o'clock, Channel 3, Sunday Night Football. Let's root on our Cleveland Browns. And keep sending us your photos, by the way. We want to highlight your Browns gear. I'll be showing that off in the Clicking in Cleveland segment today at 5 p.m. on What's New. Also have an excerpt of that Sherrod Brown conversation for you at 5 p.m. on What's New, which you can watch live in our WKYC app, by the way. So everyone have a great weekend. Here's hoping we come back with a Victory Monday, and I will see you then. Everyone stay safe and be well. I'm Stephanie Haney.